Well, I have spent a lot of your time talking about the last 25 years, and I would like to finish with some thoughts about our future. To be clear, our immediate future. Rather than offer you only a rosy picture of our industry, I want to discuss three specific concerns. The first is craftsmanship. Over the past 25 years, we developers have gained a lot, but also lost something. And one major loss is craftsmanship. As projects become bigger and more complicated, often the option of working over and over again to polish a game to make it the highest quality it can be is disappearing. This is not the criticism of the talent of people developing games, but rather the circumstances in which they operate. No matter how much money or manpower is available, no matter how much talent is involved, the needed flexibility may not be available when unexpected development arises. Small details can get lost even in huge projects. My second concern takes me again back to my career at HAL and my early days at Nintendo watching Mr. Miyamoto work. As I said, no one was a specialist. Everyone was a generalist. We could all comprehend what everyone else was doing. To be sure, today there are many people who are better programmers than we were back then, and better artists, better producers. But this era of specialization makes it much more difficult for a single individual to sense the entire nature or personality of a game. Developers know their specific roles much better, but are less able to understand anyone else's. And if people cannot tell exactly what other team members are doing, it makes me wonder, where will the next master game creators come from? My final concern is the most important. When I first spoke at GDC in 2005, very few in the audience were involved making games for mobile download or for social networks. Today, maybe the majority of you are. Our industry has certainly expanded. But it also gives me concern because I fear our business is dividing in a way that threatens the continued employment for many of us who create games for our living. Yes, the developers' hours will always be too long and the stress too high, but until now, there has always been the ability to make a living. Will that still be the case moving forward? Let me share a few numbers. Today in America, there are more than 500 retail games available for PS3, more than 700 for the Xbox 360, and more than 1,000 each for both Wii and Nintendo DS. With so many choices, it is already very challenging to gain enough visibility with the public to achieve true hit status. A few games do become mega hits, but it is not easy. With such competition, even being noticed is extremely difficult. Huge investment promise nothing. Now, Consider this. The corresponding number of games available right now to download from the big app sites is in the tens of thousands. Game development is drowning. Yes, nearly every one of these downloadable games is far less expensive to create than most retail titles. But what revenue will they generate? Screen Digest reports that among all types of applications downloaded among the leading mobile services last year, 92% were free. And most software which is not free is still being sold at extremely low prices. Why is this happening? To answer, it's necessary to understand two very different ways of looking at our business. And these approaches focus on a single question. Is maintaining high-value games a top priority or not? First, consider the objective of those of us who manufacture a dedicated video game hardware. At Nintendo, we see hardware as something our consumers reluctantly purchase only to enjoy the games they really want to play. We do not publish games for other platforms because we believe matching our game idea with our hardware design is the surest way to provide meaningful surprises. We are game creator first and manufacturer second. We really want our consumers to appreciate the premium value of software. Although the PlayStation and Xbox businesses are different in some ways from Nintendo's, I believe we all share this idea 100%. We make platforms designed to demonstrate the high value of high-quality video game software. But there is a second, entirely different way to consider the value of software. The objectives of smartphones and social network platforms are, and the reasons these vehicles were created are not at all like ours. These platforms have no motivation to maintain the high value of video game software. For them, content is something created by someone else. Their goal is just to gather as much as software as possible because quantity is what makes the money flow. Quantity is how they profit. The value of video game software does not matter to them. So, we are looking at two distinct sides of the video game businesses. One path requires investment that are often too big, and the other provides games that don't maintain high value. The fact is, what we produce was value, and we should protect that value. Please understand, it must be said that all is not lost. Games as diverse as Just Dance, Wii Fit, U-Draw, Wii Sports, Tomodachi Collection, and Art Academy have all found audiences on Nintendo systems alone, and similar stories certainly apply to other platforms. Let me suggest a couple of considerations that I believe can help a game get noticed. First, the central appeal must be evident almost immediately. If you hope a game player will stay engaged for more than 10 minutes in order to understand what you offer, it may be too late. The first sequence of a game are more important than ever. Second, it must be quick and easy for people to describe the unique nature of your game to others. Social recommendations are far more persuasive than advertising. But your idea must be simply understood. If both of these conditions are met, you could reach the tipping point for word of mouth, where your game begins to sell itself. This is the ultimate solution we all seek. Having said all this, there is a single solution to this challenge. It can be stated as a single word: innovation. Yes, there are many definitions, so let me explain how we define innovation at Nintendo. It is very simple. We always ask ourselves the same question: is there something considered impossible that we might make possible? Our belief is that just accepting impossible limits our thinking and sets up barriers to true innovation. For example, at one time, it was thought that people could only view a single display screen at a time. Now, many scan their TV and PC and maybe tablet or phone screen all at the same time. And two screens have certainly proved popular with almost 150 million Nintendo DS owners worldwide. Sometimes what is possible is only hiding behind false conclusion. I began today by including a quote from the CEO of TimeGate, and I like to conclude the same way. He said, "We always have a game concept that we are very excited about, and then we validate it as a real business opportunity." The opposite approach, identifying a hot business trend and then trying to decide how to capitalize on it, is a scary proposition. If the job of GDC is to learn from each other, I believe we can all learn from this. Trust your passion. Believe in your dream. For 25 years, game developers have made the impossible possible. So I ask you, why would we stop now? Thank you so much for your attention today.